What is up, fellow Kaiba Corp employees? Ryan here. It is March 30th, and today was the Toronto Regionals. And I just got back a couple hours ago. Got home. I live about an hour and a half away from the convention center that it took place at. And I just wanted to go over my deck list. What worked for me, what didn't. I was really pulling my hair out coming up to the event. Not sure what sideboard to play, what non-engine stuff, what flex spots in the extra to run. And I gotta say, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you this was a topping list because it wasn't. I didn't even make the top 49. But I went 4-4-1, 4 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. And it was my first regional, so I thought I actually did pretty good for my first time. I played well. I could identify the mistakes after the games, which is something that I am still learning. Is learning from my mistakes, obviously, and I'd like to share my list, just share my thoughts. I'm gonna try and make this video not too long. I apologize if the audio in the video is kind of bad. I'm trying to get some new tools here. So anyway, I'm gonna go in. So I'm running a 41 card main deck. Blue-Eyes Primite. Let's get into it. So first, 2 Blue-Eyes White Dragons. This is really self-explanatory. This is the number you play. 1 is too few, especially with all the bestials that can be running around, and 3 is way too many. And then I'm actually on 1 Neo Kaiser Seahorse as well. I'll get into why I chose this a little bit later on, but basically there's some stuff in my extra deck I really wanted to make sure I could get into, and this helped with that. It's also it's something that I wouldn't play at 3 in a Primite list, but at 1 in the Primite list, it's really nice because when you see it, it is full combo on its own. So if you don't get into your main starters and you have that as a backup, it's nice. It's also just a nice extender if you get to your Blue-Eyes. All day, actually, this card was great to see. And it does help you get into seals if you have kind of a weird match. 3 Sage. This is self-explanatory. It's the best normal summon in the Blue-Eyes engine. 3 Maiden. Again, you max out on the Maidens. This is basically the main starter of the deck. And then 3 Wishes. The real main starter of the deck, this is the card that catches all the Ash Blossoms. I actually think I had this ashed about 2, maybe 3 times today, which, not that bad. I mean, it's a 9-round event, and I only got this ashed, what, 2-3 times? It's not too bad. This resolved a lot. It was a little bit less impactful at certain times. Not in a bad... I wouldn't play less. Some people play 2 of this. I like 3. 1 Roar, 1 Mausoleum, 1 Majesty, 1 True Light. There's maybe an argument to run 2 Roars. I wouldn't. I mean, not for me. I don't know. Like, some people did, and they seem to have okay results, especially in matchups, where you might see the, where you might, play against Malice or something. But no, I liked having the 1. Obviously, you want to only run the 1 True Light, 1 Mausoleum, and play Majesty, guys. Seriously, this card's crazy. It didn't actually come up a whole lot today, but the card's nuts. Every time I saw it, it did work. Usually you kill 2 cards. It's fantastic. Primate Engine, 3 Barrel. That's standard. 3 Load. That's standard. Usually in game 2, if I know I'm going second, I'll side this out, like one of them, side one of them out. As with Wishes, actually, if I'm going second, I side out 2 Wishes, and I also side out Majesty. Reason being, so I used to side out 1 Wishes, but siding out 2 in Majesty, it gives you 3 pieces of non-engine. In going second, it's really all you need. Especially if you start if you're able to open Sage or Maiden, you go into your True Light, and then you're able to set the Wishes. As long as you haven't drawn the Roar, which would be your only target in deck after that, you're golden. I think I'm going to keep adopting that siding pattern moving forward. I tried it out today, and it put in work every round. And then to round out the Primate package, 1 drill beam. Some people are like, you got to play 3 of this. Strongly disagree. It's hard once on all of its abilities. It sucks if you lose it, like if someone like drill beams your drill beam, or if they if you lose it to like shifter or something like that, like, yeah, it can suck. But honestly, like, and it can be nice to see in your open, but it's not worth playing 3 in my opinion. I've seen some people at 2. I just think 1's fine. I don't think you need any more. And then I'm actually on 2 Bestials, Druis and Mag. Mag, I think, is like required for the deck. And this is the slot that some people would run Jet Dragon in. The reason I like this over Jet Dragon is it's not a brick like Jet Dragon is. Jet Dragon's very good, don't get me wrong, but this is less bricky. It also pairs well into one of my extra deck monsters, which I will show when I get there. It's also just a free send to grave when it goes to grave. So, Druis Room's really crazy. It basically fits into like the hand trap lineup. It's nuts. Consistency cards. So I'm on 1 pot and 3 talents. So this is probably the decision I spent the longest making, leading up to the regional. I flip-flopped between one of these and a thrust, 2 of these and a thrust, and I finally decided on 3. I ended up not running Nibiru. This was the slot that Nibiru was in, and I actually made that a last-minute change. I was on Nibiru, and I was on like 2 of these in the side at one point. And then I realized Nibiru just really wasn't working for me the last few times I played it in the main. I don't like it in the side either, because it's a side-in going second, and I think you want... just the way my side deck was built, I had a lot of go second cards in the side, but I also just wanted to make sure I had some generic go firsts. I thought I was going to side some of these out a lot more than I did. I think I sided 1 out maybe twice. This card was super impactful every single time I drew it. I think this card is the best it's ever been, at least in recent memory. I wasn't playing competitively when this card first dropped, but I think this is maybe the best it's ever been. This card is insane. Almost always going for a hand rip. If you're going second, you might steal. There was one time today I opted to try to draw the 2 cards. It was a mistake. Not that it will always be, but I was in a position where he had a Druis Worm on board, and I had the Link one. Spirit with Eyes of Blue, and I could have just taken his Druis, and I should have taken his Druis and gone into like spheres or something, but the problem is again, and we were also under shifter, so the Druis wouldn't have even triggered. Let me double check that. Yeah, it has to go to the grave, so it wouldn't have even triggered to send one of my monsters to the grave, so I should have just stolen, but I decided to try and get greedy and draw, and he ashed it, and unfortunately I lost. I was against Malice. I'll talk about my matchups after this as well. It's 9 rounds. On to hand traps, 3 Ash Blossom. This is required with all the Mulcharmies running around. It's also just really good against certain decks, like it's good against Ryzeal. Right now, it's also really good against Blue-Eyes, and there's just plenty of other decks that it's fantastic against. 3 Effect Failure. I think 3 is correct. A lot of people might debate me. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means that we're built different. Sometimes I'm built incorrectly, so who knows. Anyway, yeah, I think 3 of these are pretty good. Every time I see this in my hand, I love it, except for one time today, again, when I got shifted, and it sucked because you do have, it's not discard, it's send to grave, so it functions like Droll in that way, where it does kind of have to go to the grave, so unfortunately, the game that I got shifted, actually, it was my round, I think it was my round 6 opponent, was on Malice. It was my 3rd Malice matchup in a row. He opened shifter both games 1 and 2, and he cooked me both games, unfortunately. It is what it is. It sucks. Konami Ban Shifter, please. I hate the card. Lingering Floodgates suck. Abyss Dweller should probably be banned as well. Not even probably, just ban it. And then I'm on 3 Droll. I'm actually super happy I went with this in the main. I've been pretty vocal about how much I dislike Droll lately, but I actually think this card, it put in a decent amount of work. I wouldn't say that it overperformed today, but it performed probably about exactly how you want it to perform. I was really scared of Mermail, and this was really like my only answer to it. I didn't really have much. Thankfully, I didn't actually play against the Mermail deck, but every time I used this, it put in some work today, and I drew quite a bit, so... and then I'm on Imperm. This card was fine today. I think that I would still run it in the main, for sure. I don't think I would cut it, because it's, like, really good. But, yeah, I don't think this stood out, but I got a couple of key activations of it. Usually going first, I'll side this card out because I just don't really think it's needed. Again, it's matchup dependent, but, yeah. So that's my main. That's 41 cards. Again, very, very, very happy with what I ended up playing. Very happy with how I did. Let's go into the extra. So in the extra, I'm on Double Spirit. I don't think you need 3. I can count on one hand the amount of times in the the last little while that a third one could have come up, and even then, like, was it the right answer? It's debatable. I think there's enough ways to get your blue eyes back without needing to go in a third one of these. I don't think you need more than 3, or more than 2. Sorry. Then I'm on Double Seal, Heretic Seal. So this was a choice I made today, is running the second one of these. I'm actually really glad it did. It came up a lot. Being able to go into your second spirit and then using that spirit to go into a second seals with another dragon is kind of nuts. The bounce and summon, and this is why also I was on the Kaiser as well as 2 Bestials. You had plenty of targets for the second seal. Typically you're not going to grab a Blue Eyes with it. You can grab Barrel, but you usually don't need to. I actually had Barrel and Lordly Load in almost all my opens today. But yeah, if you have the second seal, you can go into the Kaiser. You can go into one of your Bestials. Magnamoot's a favorite of mine, and then Magnamoot can search Kaiser. And then, oh, excuse me, sorry guys, it's been a long day. So yeah, you got that. For your fusions, you got the 1 Neo Ultimate, you got the 1 Tyrant Dragon. Neo Ultimate was fine. I didn't use its Grave Negate at all today. Every time my Blue Eyes got popped, it was non-targeting, so unfortunately that didn't come up. But it's a bridge into Tyrant. Tyrant performed very, very well today. I think I went into it like 5 times, and every single time it just absolutely decimated the opponent, just murdered. This thing is crazy. This might be the best card in our whole deck. Like, it's absolutely like the top dog. This guy, he just eats boards for breakfast. Resetting your traps. I played against 2 lab opponents today, and this card beat them both. This card kills. This card's fantastic. It just eats boards. And then I'm on another 2 we're on the 2 Spirit Dragon. Some people are on 3. If you want to play 3, I don't think that's necessarily incorrect. In my extra, I don't have space for 3. I think there are a lot of other cards I would try to play before I played a 3rd Spirit Dragon. Not to say it's bad. This is probably your best card in your extra, like just for generic going into. And of course it tags out. There are plenty of targets to tag it into. And then of course it also saves you if your True Light gets popped, because it negates the mandatory activation in Grave. So the card is crazy. I really, really like this card. It's fantastic. And then we're on 1 Ultimate Spirit Dragon. This card came up a couple of times today, probably a few times today. I'm going to be honest, this card probably underperformed, but I think that it underperformed because everybody is so ready for it. I do not think that makes it a bad card. If you were to bump it up to 2, depending on your list, I think that's absolutely fine. In fact, it might actually even be the play. I don't think I'm going to do that, but this card did really well. This card, it did fine today, and it probably did underperform, but it did do okay in some spots. The negate on field is good. Being able to float back into a dragon is Blue Eyes is good, and protecting your graveyard from Bestials is phenomenal. So that didn't really come up today though, but very good card. And then, of course, I'm on one Azure Silver Dragon. This is actually a card that came in and out of my extra deck over the last couple of weeks as I was prepping. This is something that I wasn't sure I wanted to play. It didn't really come up today. I played it, I think, once or twice, and it did okay. It protected my dragons from being popped at one point. I never made it to my next turn. I think I was against in my round 2 opponent who was playing Pearly, ended up stealing it. But it was pretty good. It was all right. But it never overperformed. It didn't necessarily underperform. I just didn't really need to go into it a whole lot. But I would run this again. I liked it. I think that it is good, especially like there was one point it actually won me a game where I was against a player who I can't remember who I was against, what my opponent was, but they interacted with me, so I used talents to look at their hand and spin a card back. And I noticed that they didn't have nib, they didn't have any further interaction, so I spun back a card, and I went into double spirits, and then I used, on their turn, I used spirits to go into both of these, and they scooped it up right there, because that was game. They couldn't do anything at that point. It was too strong. So very, very good. And then we're on Lightstorm Dragon. I think I went into this once today, and it never... No, I think I went into it 2 or 3 times, actually. It did just fine. It cleared a whole back row a couple of times. One time it didn't do anything, but that's really no fault of its own. I went into it as a emergency button, like a safety precaution, and it worked. He targeted this rather than my other monsters. It was in response to a Ice Dragon's Prison against a Labyrinth player. It was my very last opponent of the day. I had 2 Blue-Eyes out, I had Spirit Dragon out, and then he used Ice Dragon's Prison in response to my barrel on my standby phase, taking it, and then he wanted to banish. In response, I tributed this off to go into this, and before the chain ended, he just banished this plus the thing, which was fine because I wanted to keep the Blue-Eyes on board, and I was able to kill him. Then we're on Moonlight. This came up, I think, once or twice. Not a bad card. I definitely wouldn't cut it. I did consider cutting this, but I think I would definitely keep it. It's pretty good, you know, the free bounces. It's nice. Yeah, you can go into it off of any of your 1-star tuners plus one of the Bestials. So again, 2 Bestials is a reason for that. And now this is the biggest reason I'm running Kaiser Seahorse, Chaos Angel. So I wasn't going to run the Kaiser Seahorse because you can go into Chaos Angel using any of your Synchro 9s plus one of your level 1 tuners. And it won't have both the effects, but it has the one that matters, which makes it a pseudo towers. It can't, Synchro monsters you control can't be targeted by your opponent's activated monster effects. So this, I only summoned, I think, twice today, but it won me both of my matches. In round 1, I played this. I played against a White Forest Azabita player, which is one of the decks I was really scared of, but I was able to actually beat him in 2. Our first game was super long. I'll go into that more in detail, but I lost almost all my die rolls today. I only won 2 die rolls out of 9 rounds, so I lost 7 die rolls. But I played really well, considering I went second most of the day today. I actually played phenomenally, in my own opinion. Again, I didn't I didn't do like that well. You know, 4-1 isn't an excellent record, but for my first regionals, like, I only expected to win 2 or 3 rounds. This card was crazy clutch today. This was insane. I love Chaos Angel. I'm going to continue fooling around with this card. I'm going to continue playing it. I have a really nice ulti that I got off of a buddy of mine from Locals, who was actually one of the judges at the event today. So yeah, this card's crazy. I think that more people ought to give it a shot, because it's very, very easy to go into in this deck because of all the level 1s and the level 9s, and if you give Kaiser Seahorse a shot, again, you go Seals, Seals into Magnamute effects, end of turn, you search the Kaiser Seahorse, you summon the Kaiser on your turn, and then you send both to summon this, and you get the banish. And then if you did it with like Serenir, not only you get basically triple chain. You get the you can go chain 1, target a thing to banish, chain 2 Serenir, target a thing to send, and then you go chain 3 Kaiser. So yeah, it's all pretty phenomenal stuff. Pretty good. And then the last 2 cards were the Xyz. So we have Typhon and we have Aggregator, which is the Ulti Slayer target. This actually never came up today. I used Ulti Slayer a couple times, but never on an Xyz monster. Just never had the chance. And then this I played once and it did nothing. I immediately lost the game because he was able to immediately just spin it back to hand or pop it or whatever he did, and then I lost. So yeah, this card, you know, living up to the meme. I think I would still play it. I don't think I would cut it based on today's performance. It has been underperforming / I don't really go into it. But this card I think is pretty necessary against Ryziel. Yeah, it's fine. I'll try it out a couple of more weeks and see how I feel about it. I might change the slot for something else, but I do think you should at least be running the Typhon. Aggregator, I would probably still play. Just because it didn't come up today doesn't mean it won't. It's pretty good, and it's only 1 slot, so that's another one of the flex spots. Okay, so that's my extra, and now we're on to the side. So for the side, I was really scared of Malice today, and I did play 3 Malice matchups in a row. I was able to beat the first guy. I wanted to have more than just the Lancias. So anyway, I'll get into it. So yeah, I'm on triple Lancia. The thing is, I actually never even drew this once today, unfortunately. It is what it is. But what I did draw today, almost every single time I sided it, in fact, I think every single time I sided it, I played 2 Chaos Hunters. This card was an MVP. This might have been the biggest MVP in my entire sideboard today. Every single time I sided it, I saw it, and every single time I saw it, it impacted the game very, very well. I think there was only a single time that I played this card that I lost that game. And but every other time I played this card, and it wasn't even just against Malice. I faced a guy who was on Pearly with a Kashtira sub engine. I think he was just on Fenrir's, but this helped against that. I played against a couple people with Lab, and I played this into their Lab setups because they were running like Ice Dragon Prison. They had a couple other banish effects. This shut them down. Like, Chaos Hunter put in work. I might actually up this to 3, but we'll see for future lists. I actually have a couple of cool things to show you guys at the end of the video. Triple Ulti Slayer, like I said, this didn't come up a whole lot. I did actually use it a couple of times, but it was actually most of the time I got a couple of times I got rid of a Synchro and I got rid of a Link. So Ulti Slayer came up a couple of times, but never against an Xyz monster. Now I'm on Double Storm and Duster. These are mandatory. I'm sorry. I don't really want to hear the naysayers on this one. These are insane. Like, they're so good right now, especially in Blue-Eyes, because against mirror matches, they're going to kill the True Light, and against anything else that sets up a back row, you're just going to blow them out. Storm pulled double duty today. It did phenomenally. Every time I saw Duster, it worked well. Like, I remember game 2 versus my round 1 opponent, I opened both of these, plus some engine, and I cooked him. He like set 4 back row or something, and I dustered him, and then I stormed, and it was a wrap. These cards are crazy. Please play them. Don't let the naysayers say nay. Triple Judgment. A lot of people like Strike. I like Judgment. It's more intense of a life point cost if you're at full. But the thing is if you're under 1,500 life points, this card is still on, and this card also combats these cards. Solemn Strike does not. It might not stop a summon of a Bestial, but it is going to stop almost everything else. Every single time I flipped this in the last couple of weeks, the opponent has, like, been in shock. Like, they've been like, oh my god, that's so good. And I gotta agree with them. Judgment's crazy, guys. I like Judgment over Strike. And my final card is one of Skill Drain. This is one of those ones that was a very last minute addition. I couldn't decide on my last 3 slots, so I knew I wanted to play Judgments. I knew I wanted to play Storm and Duster. I knew I was on Ulti, and I knew I was on the Lancia. These 3, I'm very glad that these were my last 3 slots. I did it yesterday, right before I packed my deck, right before I finalized. These were my last 3 slots, and I have to say, these were the MVPs. This I only ever sided in, or I only ever played once. I sided it in maybe 2-3 times. I only ever saw it once in my open, and it put in work. I did lose the match, unfortunately, and the guy was able to play out of it, but he had the goo. He had the nut. Like, this card really, really, really was phenomenal. Now, couple things. I guess I'll just show you this. These are my tokens, and then my field center for today. So, yeah, that was fun. So a couple things I wanted to show. This was the real win of today. So the vendors were selling some cards. I had a bunch of trade-in, and I was able to pick up my Fuwalosis and my Meowls. Unfortunately, I don't have Perulias. I did have a set a few weeks back, but I traded them to get Lordly Loads. But yeah. Unfortunately, I got these between rounds 3 and 4, so I couldn't put them in my list. Meowls would have helped today against three Malice opponents, and Fulos is Fulos. So moving forward, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in over Droll in the main, and then these are going to go in the side. I don't know exactly what I'm going to cut in the side right now, but I'm probably going to cook up a whole new side deck and run these. At least I'll change some things around to run these. I might cut the Hunters. Again, they did perform well today, but I think that these will do. I mean, I might keep the Hunters. Who knows? We'll see. But these 6 will be in the deck in some capacity. These will be in the main, again, probably over Droll. You just don't want to be playing Droll when you're playing this because they conflict. But yeah, that's, that's a big plus for me, a big win. And one last cool thing. So today, March 30th, it is my birthday. And my buddy knows I like Blue-Eyes, knows I play Blue-Eyes. And he saw something at the local GameStop that he wanted to get for me for a present. Yeah, if I can get the proper... I'm going to have to move the camera. Look at this. Look at this. So it's a model kit that I'm going to have to build. I'm probably going to build that after I finish editing the video. Maybe I'll save it till tomorrow. It's like 10 after 11. By the time I finish this video, it'll be like midnight. But yeah, this is cool, guys. This is really sweet. I'm super excited to build this. Shout out to my friend Toby. He's not in this group, but shout out to my buddy. I love you, man. And I wanna do a big shout out to Ray from Card Nation in Toronto, who was able to work with me to get these Molcharmy cards. The dude is the nicest guy I've ever met. Seriously, if you're ever down in Toronto, it's on the corner of. I'm not a Toronto local. I'm from further away than that, but it's on the corner of. He's told me it was something in Yonge, and I know Yonge's a big street, so I'm sorry if that doesn't help. Card Nation in Toronto, guys. Seriously, I want to give Ray a huge shout out. Probably the nicest man I've ever met in my life. He did a great deal with me. He put up with going through my binders and my trash cards, and he found some value, and he was able to hook me up with these phenomenal cards, and even gave me a great deal because it is my birthday. So shout out to you, Ray. If you ever see this, you're a fucking sweetheart, man. And I look forward to working with you again if I see you at further events in Toronto. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching. I hope this video wasn't too long. But yeah, Peace.